Thanks for joining us today. You're listening to the International Moving Podcast, your guide to moving to another country, brought to you by SDC International Shipping, LA's finest. An international move is exciting. It's a time to start over, establish a new business, reestablish family ties, or retire where your budget will do more for you or the weather is more to your liking. Please enjoy today's episode, and if you have any questions about your international move, give us a call at 888-779-3962. That's 888-779-3962.
Hi, this is Rob. I'm General Manager of International Relocations for SDC International Shipping. And I want to talk to you a little bit right now about relocating and shipping your goods from the United States to Mexico. Very popular destination for many good reasons, and we specialize in this. You know, the first thing I want to say is that many people believe that shipping from the U.S. to Mexico, relocating the goods, is going to be an easy process. It's USA to Mexico. It's a land border, no problem, right? Easy, simplistic. Really, that's just absolutely not true. It can be rather challenging, and as a result, you really, truly must work with a company, and only with a company that is experienced in doing this. That is experienced, is knowledgeable, has the resources, and is responsive, because there are so many moving parts, moving things from the USA to Mexico. Believe it or not, it's more challenging than almost any other country, quite frankly. And that's why we specialize in it. We know how to make things happen, no matter what, from point A to point B. Moving your things from point A to point B. They're in point A in one condition, exactly the same condition in point B. And so we know how to make all of this happen. The first thing I want to talk about that's important is customs and paperwork. Obviously, there's paperwork that must be completed and pre-approved before things cross the border, or there can be problems. When I say problems means time, and ultimately it turns into money, financially a problem. So you may have heard or may not have heard of the phrase menaje de casa. Menaje de casa. Literally, that means in Spanish, manage the household. Manage the household. And so that is a form that must be created. We can create it, the SDC, or you can do it yourself, but it must be a nice delineated, clean, clear list of everything that's going. When I say everything, I don't mean to the level of granularity and minutia, 17 forks and 9 salad plates, 6 pair of shoes. No, it just means that box number 1 is shoes, box number 2, kitchen goods, box number 3, linen, box number 3, linens, and of course, furniture. There's a table, there's a couch, there are 6 chairs, that kind of thing. Now, what's important with the menaje de casa is anything electronic, different rules. Every single one item that is electronic in nature must be noted, make, model, and serial number. So it could be a blender, it could be a TV set, it could be a microwave, it could be a calculator. Doesn't matter. Electronic, make, model. So again, that's the menaje de casa. It must be completed. We can do it. We can handle everything for you. You can do it. Doesn't matter. Just engage with us, and we can determine the best way with you. But it has to be handled. It has to be handled ahead of time. It has to be submitted to the menaje de casa. It has to be submitted to the consulate, Mexican consulate, and it has to be reviewed and approved, so that you have a copy, we have a copy. When we cross that border, whichever border crossing it is, we can tell the agent there, this is who we are, this is what we're doing, this is for whom we are conducting this move, and this is the destination, and here's the menaje de casa. Should be clean and smooth. We get through and go on about our business. Without that, again, time, problems equals money. So menaje de casa, we can help. We can help you. We can handle it. You engage with your representative here if you're moving to Mexico, and we're able to help you. Generally speaking, packing and protecting. This applies to Mexico. This applies to anywhere, but a little bit more to Mexico because 90% of our Mexico moves are overland by way of truck. So packing and protecting. If you're going to do it, we can certainly pack and protect everything. We automatically protect anything that doesn't go in a box. So a chair, a table, an ottoman, a couch. We automatically take care of that wrap, protect appropriately. Certainly we're going to wrap and protect and a glass curio cabinet, different than we're going to do a cloth ottoman, but we take care of everything. Now, things that go into boxes. Packing of boxes. We can do it or you can do it. If you do it, you just make sure you do it right. And there are ways, and I'll mention a few of those. You just basically want to make sure that anything is delicate and breakable. You want to make sure that it's wrapped and protected, double wrapped and placed in the box. The big thing that I always tell people is once you've sealed up that box of breakables in the box, and you shake the box around a little bit, shouldn't move. Nothing should be rattling around inside. That means you did it right, and you have a better chance of a very, very good outcome if you're doing the packing. If we do it, you're good. That's really, really critical. So that's packing, protecting. Again, we can do it, you can do it. So like I mentioned previously, 90% of what we ship to Mexico is by way of over the road, by way of truck. Here's what's important. You have to work with the company, and only with the company that is serious and specializes in this type of move, like SDC International Shipping. You don't want to work with someone who gets your business and then you find out your things are on a pickup truck or a flatbed or with an industrial commercial truck with tires next to it. You want to work only with the company that specializes and only moves things, household goods, in the appropriate type of equipment, and that means a truck with the appropriate suspension for moving. It's a long way from any origination point in the United States, whether it be LA or Dallas or Houston or who knows, Topeka, Kansas, doesn't matter, to Mexico City or Cancun or Playa del Carmen, right, or Cabo San Lucas. A lot of roadway, and as you know, not all of the roads in Mexico are super smooth. There's some bumps along the way, and this is why it's so important, the packing, the protection, and also the equipment that's being used to transport from point A to point B. If you want your things to arrive the exact way they were in A and B, same way. And this is why you really need to consider the appropriate moving company, not the cheapest quote that you receive, because I can promise you the cheapest quotes are generally the most expensive when you look at everything. Shipping by way of ocean, we do it. We specialize in international shipping, so obviously to Europe and Australia. We do tremendous amount of ocean shipping. To Mexico, only about 5 to 7% of what we do to Mexico is by way of ocean. And the deciding factor is what is the most efficient way to do it. And of course, that depends upon what's being moved, how much, and to where. We make those decisions and consult with you and tell you what we think. But at the end of the day, whatever's best is the way to go. Generally, it's not ocean. Most Mexico is by way of road. Another thing I want to talk about is fine art and collectibles and really delicate things. We specialize not only in moving your sofa and your ottoman and your dining room table and chairs and TV and that sort of thing, but we also specialize in more delicate items. So artwork, fine art, sculptures, pinball, really nice vintage pinball tables. I do quite a bit of those, believe it or not. Expensive pool tables. We do all of these things, and we evaluate each item based on its value, it's the level of delicacy, how delicate it is, and we decide what is best, and we work with our client, of course, based on what it's going to cost to make sure that everything is really done right. Just the other week, I did something to Mexico that was a large sculpture of a giraffe. And so you can imagine with a long neck and it's somewhat delicate, how did we protect that the right way to make sure it got to its destination appropriately? And it did. So this is something that we know how to do. We move museums. We move museum pieces from museum to museum. And by the way, you may not know this, but Mexico is one of the premier centers for museums in the world. And it's one of the top, certainly top 10. People don't know how many museums there are in Mexico City. It's kind of neat. So let's talk about real briefly, vehicles to Mexico. It's a little controversial, but I'll tell you, I'll be just cut to the chase. Unless you're a diplomat or you have some kind of influence, some kind of special thing, I tell people don't take your vehicle to Mexico. I don't want to ship it to Mexico. You can drive it in and you can do your thing and you can renew as a visitor every 6 months, something like that. But if you're going to take your vehicle in, you want to ship it in, clear customs because you're going to title and register in Mexico, that is very challenging. Talk to us about it if you'd like to do that. We can explain, and we can do anything you like to do. We've done it. It's just, it can be more challenging, and sometimes the juice isn't worth the squeeze on that one. But let's talk. We can talk about that if that's something you're looking to do. Let's talk about some pitfalls, some things to watch out for. Some of the negative things. Just real briefly, there are companies out there that are brokers, and there are companies out there that actually are relocation moving companies, shipping companies like SDC International Shipping. The brokers, they're a website and a name, and they want to get your business, and they're going to probably, once they get your business at a low price or a price, they're going to look for some company that might, anyone who can handle all of the different elements. And it might be, Joe with the pickup truck, may or may not be, but you just don't know. Sometimes they'll say, they get your stuff, and then decide, well, gee, some extra expenses came up. We need more money. Watch out for that. As opposed to a true, bona fide, legitimate, experienced, knowledgeable, 2 decades plus experience kind of company who can make sure things happen from A to B, like we've talked about. So just be a little careful about that. And read reviews. Look at everyone's reviews. Yelp, Google. Of course, there's always going to be the bad review. It's impossible to satisfy everyone all the time. But if you see a trend, that is certainly a red flag. Another thing is the bait and switch. The bait and switch kind of ties into what I just talked about. This is I can do it for some really low number. And usually that's not going to be the real cost. The bait and switch. Let's engage. Let's book this deal, and then I need more money. I need more of this. I need more of that, or who knows what happens. But the bait and switch is very tricky. As my grandmother once told me long ago, she said, "I am not rich enough to go with the lowest price." And so take that for what it is. Advanced deposits. Let's talk about advanced deposits. It's any company that's asking you for money up front. Money, red flag. Think about that. SDC International Shipping, we do not require a deposit up front. We don't take any money. We don't charge a credit card, nothing. It is perfectly acceptable, in my opinion, to require a credit card number and authorization as security. There's certain things that can happen, and it's certainly reasonable for a company to have some security, some protection to some degree. But asking for money up front, red flag. So there's that. We can talk about visas, whether it's a temporary tourist or visitor visa, or a temporary visa or permanent resident visa. Those are the 3 different levels of visas in Mexico. I think it would just take up too much time here. It's not probably super critical. So look into that. Those are 3 levels. Typically, you're shipping goods there and avoiding taxes or duties. You're going to be temporary resident or permanent resident, one of the 2. That's typically how that's going to work. Banking in Mexico, certainly you can have a bank account in Mexico. I won't get into that, belabor that too much. Owning property in Mexico, if you're really looking at moving, you probably have this all worked out. There's a lot of misconceptions out there. You can't own property in Mexico if you're American. That's not true. You can certainly own property in Mexico, own your home in Mexico. Of course, there's a restricted zone as an exception, and so look into what the restricted zone is. Certain distance from the coast, certain distance from the border, and even then, by proxy, you can certainly own your property in Mexico, even there. Most popular destinations in Mexico. That's something that I don't think we need to go through. If you're here, you've got some destinations in mind. I know my favorites. Some of my favorites, it all depends on, what you're looking for. What is your lifestyle? What's your desired lifestyle in Mexico? Taxes. As an American citizen, contact your tax accountant, right? I'm not that. But as an American citizen living in Mexico, you're still going to be liable for taxes. There are exceptions and exemptions, but again, contact your tax accountant to clarify all of that and work through that. Healthcare in Mexico. This is really important. Really, really important. Healthcare in Mexico, obviously. There obviously is a healthcare system in Mexico, the IMSS. You're eligible to partake in that, and there's a cost to it, and there are certain requirements. So there's that. It's critically important to have insurance in Mexico. Does your U.S.-based insurance apply in Mexico? Depends. You have to look into that and work with your insurance provider or agent on that. One specific, however, provider is Medicare. Let's talk about Medicare just real quickly. I can tell you that Medicare is for American citizens residing in the United States of America. So anyone outside those parameters, certainly Medicare doesn't apply anymore. So again, healthcare, critically important. Look into it. I'm sure you already have. And if you have questions, we can certainly help you a little bit along the way here at STC International Shipping. That is pretty much, those are the main points I wanted to go over in terms of shipping your goods and relocating to Mexico. We can help you, as I mentioned, every step of the way, from start to finish, and we're involved all the way along. It's critically important, as I mentioned at the beginning, to only work with the organization, a company like STC, who is very experienced, very knowledgeable, very transparent and honest, and has the resources to make sure that things happen the right way. Because, as I mentioned, so many people think that, it's just USA to Mexico. It's so simple. That's not the case. It really isn't the case. And there are a lot of potential challenges that end up potentially costing money and just creating problems. So you want to work with a company that can help you avoid that and make sure that we handle everything from start to finish. Okay, if I can help in any way, again, my name is Rob Mahone. Feel free to reach out to me directly, speak with the relocation specialist that you happen to be working with already, perhaps, and we're here to help. Have a great day. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for listening. Whether you're relocating within the country or moving to the other side of the world, we're here to help from start to finish. Connect with us today at 888-779-3962. That's 888-779-3962.